guys, welcome back. This is episode 12, they say, of the We Are Judging You podcast. And I know what you're going to say. Today, everything's a little bit different. We have a beautiful guest who's come to us, also a business owner, a corporate leader. She operates right here in Houston, Texas. And we're going to get into Gloriatel. This is Gloriatel Perez, and we are going to get into what she does, why it's important, why it matters for you. So today's topic, I think we're going to talk about, sort of the life line and life cycle of a personal injury case, right? They happen all the time. It's the number one filed case in Harris County, personal injury. The number two is a very close second are premises liability cases, slip and falls. So, what do you need to do when you get into that accident? I've tried cases. Murtaza, you've tried cases. Gloriatel, I know you deal with people often when they've had probably the worst day of their life, the
Yes.
wreck. But one of the things that is so important to me as an attorney, when I have to explain to the jury what happened, I almost have to show them physically what pain is. My leg! You. So I've got to show them charts and graphs that show cortisol levels, that show disc tears, things like that. You can actually go in now, and if you've suffered a brain injury, the doctor can actually print the scan and highlight what the injury is. So you can point at it and say, that's your injury. That's your injury right there. But in order to get to that point, you got to have a compliant client.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be willing and able to admit that they need care, and they have to be dedicated to uh, getting the care timely. Because one of the worst things that I've come across is you'll have some folks who they'll start, and then there'll be these large gaps in treatment. And then you ask them, hey, why? What happened? Why is there a 2 week gap here, 3 week gap there? And 9 times out of 10, I got too busy. I didn't have a ride. I'm facing this financial difficulty because my car was totaled and I just couldn't make it to the doctor. Okay. And I feel like this is where medical management comes in and can really, really help people. So the first step is, someone gets into the wreck. They're probably calling family, they're calling insurance, they may call an attorney. Um, but let us know a little bit about your background and what you do. And if they need medical management, what are the pros that
Mm-hmm.
medical management brings to the table?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me
Thank
here
you for being
today.
here. Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here. It's the first time that I get interviewed. It's mostly me, the one who asks the questions. So I'm
Yes.
happy to be answering this time.
Yeah.
Well, basically, my background, I'm from Monterrey, Mexico. My name is Gloriatel Viera Perez, and I started SwiftCare about 7 years ago.
Okay.
The idea of starting SwiftCare is because I saw a need on the people that get injured because most of the time they don't know what to do, and there is no enough communication sometimes between an attorney, a doctor, and the patient. So the idea was to pretty much guide them through the process and make sure they have a smooth recovery after they have an accident.
Yeah. Okay.
And the question that you asked me about the benefit of having a medical management company,
Right.
it is because we're trying to make sure nobody drops the ball. At SwiftCare, we make sure the clients know what to do. If they are lost in any process, they can just give us a call and we can guide them. Hey, your next visit is to go to the MRI. Or you know what? Your appointment is for the pain management because we have the whole thing. We can manage since the accident happened, refer the patient, guide them to go to a hospital. We have many hospitals in Houston area, so they can go right after the accident. We have MDs, chiropractic clinics, MRIs, pain management doctor, all kinds of specialists. So we guide them through the process, make sure they go to treatment because most of the time people think that, oh, well, sometimes I don't feel the pain right away, so I must be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really true because
Mm-hmm.
when that happens, our body is trained to be into survival mode.
Right.
So the adrenaline and all that makes us think that we're fine, but it's actually temporarily. after a few hours or sometimes the next day, that's when you start feeling tired, stiffness, the pain, and they need to go to a doctor. Need to
Yeah.
see a doctor.
So the question for you. So you mentioned dropping the ball. So can you tell our viewers what does it mean to drop the ball in medical management? Like, what is it? Missed appointments? Is it? What is it? What are the things that you see that people, if they wouldn't do, they would have a much better case?
For example, when a patient is not able to go to treatment and nobody's notified, like they're not given following up appointments to make sure the clients go as soon as possible after they miss an appointment, informing the law firm, hey, your client wasn't able to make it, or giving options for treatment. As well, when it is a big gap, when there is no treatment involved, we make sure that there is a process of certain period of time between the MD appointment and starting physical therapy. After certain sessions, it's good to have an MRI because we need to show progress in how the patient's feeling, and we have to back it up with an MRI report. If the patient doesn't get better after the MRI, it has to be a pain management involved.
Right.
If the pain management recommends something like an injection, PRP, or laser therapy, and that's not helping, there has to be another process, which is the orthopedic. If the orthopedic doesn't work, I mean, we need to find a way to do a TBI, something to complement the case and make sure the client has that rehabilitation and get back to being better as much as possible and making sure it's on a time frame so they don't get worse.
So basically, the patient goes in, they've been in a car accident, they get a medical plan of action on what to do in the steps by step. So, what a medical management company, are they the ones sort of just seeing that the patient goes down this pathway and on time, getting the records and all that? Is that the role you all fill?
Yes, at Swiftcare, we like to provide weekly reports. So we let you
Okay.
know every week
That's great.
how's the patient's treating, in which phase are they, how many sessions they have so far, what is pending to be the next step to make the appointments with the next doctor. So everybody's on the same page. And most important, since there's many people calling the patient sometimes and they get lost about who am I supposed to go today? Because it can be overwhelming sometimes
Right.
having to go to different
Yeah.
doctors.
Of course.
They can just give us a call and tell us, hey, Miss Gloriatel, hey, Swift, whatever who answers the phone, um, who am I supposed to meet today? And we can just easily see, oh, your appointment is with the neurologist today at 12:30 p.m. This is the address. So they don't have to be like calling the attorney, checking on their phone, who am I supposed to be? So we give you all the answers. We are just a phone call away pretty much for the patients.
And one question here, sort of. So this is a great service. You know, it's something that I know in the personal injury law world, we know this. We work with your company, and you guys do amazing work. We know. So if a client comes to us and asks us, well, this all sounds great to get this additional service, this level of service from a company like SwiftCare. What does it cost them out of their pocket to do this kind of service? Like, what do you charge the patient? While they're treating, is there a charge?
No, they're not charged for the patient. We doing to help them, to help the case, to make them feel better, but we don't charge for the extra service. We do that in order to get clients and people to get them better pretty much. So that's our complementary thing to do, the management thing, as soon as we do the physical therapy.
So good service for no cost.
Mhm.
That seems like a no-brainer. So.
What about if they need a ride?
We can also help them with Uber, so we can set up rides for them, and at the end, we just get a reimbursement on that we already covered up front. So there's no excuse for everybody or for anyone to don't assist to physical therapy or to any treatment that they need to go after an accident. And also, we can help with property damage.
Okay.
So
What can you
that's
do there?
something new that we added to SwiftCare. So it's more work for the girls,
Mhm.
but it's good for the client because sometimes some law firms cannot help with the property damage. So now we're helping on that too. We're stepping ahead and make the client find a body shop, making someone to do the claim, the property damage claim, so they don't spend too much time without a car.
That's great. No, that's good. That's a question that comes up. Our firm does help with property damage, but you need the experts on the valuation, and as much as we know about cars,
Mm-hmm.
that's great service that you all are providing. So let's say in terms of okay, so Super Bowl is coming up soon. Big
This
thing.
Sunday,
Yeah,
yes.
Sunday. Who,
Who's
do,
in
who
it?
are you
Who's in it?
picking?
Yeah, who's in it again?
Patriots or Seahawks? Any prediction?
Ooh.
Or are you guys watching halftime with Bad Bunny? What's the
Definitely some Bad Bunny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone's like food and Bad Bunny. I think that's
Yeah.
okay.
Half time for sure.
So okay. So in football injuries, we see a lot of we hear a lot about this brain injuries and traumatic
Mm-hmm.
brain injuries that happen, and we see cases where all sorts of stuff. And I know NFL got sued a number of years ago for not protecting their players, right? So in car accidents, we also see growing number of injuries with traumatic brain injuries. So we see that their head hits. They complain about headaches, and people think, oh, it's just a headache. I'm sore. Headaches. But what is your view on traumatic brain injuries, concussions, and so forth, like bleeding? What have
Mhm.
you all seen, and what's sort of the way that you attack that?
Well, that's a really good point because most people let it pass and they think, oh, I'm okay, even though they have a whiplash. And suddenly they start experiencing headaches that they didn't have before,
Hmm.
before the accident. So it's really good that they pay attention to those symptoms and go and see a doctor because not treating you for a TBI after an accident can cause you problems like sleeping problems, won't be able to concentrate as before, mood changes. So there's a whole of things that are affecting the day to day to the person without they knowing that
Hmm.
there's a solution for that. So
Right.
TBI is pretty important to get evaluated. It only takes an hour to do the
Mhm.
neurologist consultation. We can provide the patient, even though in-house statements if they need to. So we really encourage the patient to do a neurologist visit after an accident just to make sure everything is okay.
And how soon after an accident would you say go in? Like, is there a time limit? Is it you got to do it on the same day? What do
The
you?
same day is the better because the patient needs to make sure that there's no
Mhm.
fracture, that they are okay.
Okay.
Even though they don't feel any pain at the moment, we encourage them to go the same day to see a doctor.
No, that's great. That's great. George, you want to?
So you also collect medical records.
Yes, we help
Okay.
when we have a case, we like to manage the beginning to the end
Okay.
because that way we make sure nobody again drops the ball and we help to gather all the medical records with the people that we work with. We work with great physicians. We have pretty good equipment through different companies like MRIs that are the wearable MRI, which is
Hmm.
the difference on a tube and a flatbed. Now we have the standing up MRI.
Hmm.
When someone is claustrophobic, that's really is a relief because they don't need to be sedated.
Of course.
When someone has like a fracture on, or we need to see if there's a fracture on an extremity, they don't need to go on the tube. There's equipment that you can just put your arm, you can just watch TV, having a coffee, and that will be done in 20 minutes. Same with any extremity. So we have all those providers. We have great TBI experts, doctors. SwiftCare can also cover dentists,
Oh wow.
Hmm.
dentists, ophthalmologists, plastic
Yeah.
surgeons,
What about
everything.
mental injuries?
Well, that's part of the
Yeah.
TBI.
Yeah.
So our experts can have the the TBI assessment, psychotherapy, PTSD as well,
Hmm.
follow-ups, and all that is related to the TBI. We can cover that. I mean,
Okay.
Swiftcare refers them to a great physician that has everything
Yeah.
for the patient and their needs.
No, dental is a good point because I had a client last year. She was a pedestrian, or maybe 2 years ago, and she was, at university. She was riding her skateboard, and a car hit her, as a pedestrian. And the injury was her tooth fillings all came out because of the way that the injury and the scope. So that's good to know about dental. I mean, that they'll
Hmm.
cover that. So that's awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think people have to understand that your medical records really are your case because what I do a lot of times in personal injury cases is I like to get into the psychology of the adjuster.
Hmm.
And I've actually like read books on this and got some training. What do they care about when they're settling a claim? What's the difference between that one and one where they say, I'm going to slow roll it, I'm going to deny coverage when I shouldn't, I'm going to offer 10% of what I know the claim value is? What defines a good claim in their eyes versus one that they can slow roll? Because insurance companies, they have armies of adjusters and
Hmm.
they're not paid to necessarily resolve your claim quickly. They're paid to save the insurance company money.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And a lot of people may not know, but insurance companies are huge investors. So what do they do with all the money that they get from you? They go to New York, they make money on the stock market, they invest in different things. They literally have all the money and they don't profit or benefit much by simply paying out every single time they should pay out. In fact, some of them may go under if they had to do that. But in any event, the psychology of the adjuster, one of the things that I've found out is if
True.
they see a well
Hmm.
documented case where there might be maximum, we'll say a week's gap. Otherwise, this person is getting multiple rounds of treatment with the right doctors.
Hmm.
All the records are there and organized for them. All they need to do is if it's within their authority, approve it.
Exactly.
That's it.
And we can provide all that. I mean, we
Yeah.
can provide good documentation, good reports, bills and records, pretty much everything so the adjusters doesn't have any question but just to accept the claim and settle something good because the patient was really hurt and we have all the documentation to prove it.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've also learned now that adjusters do is they are learning to read billing codes and they are assigning like values to certain billing codes. So a lot of times if you go to a provider, every provider produces their records in a different way. They should be on their bills disclosing what the codes are, but they all don't do it. And sometimes they actually put the wrong code on and it has to go be corrected, right? And so what I like about a medical management idea is that if there is a problem with someone has, because TBI, that gets a certain billing code.
Mm-hmm.
You're referred for a hemilaminectomy, you have a bunch of ruptured discs, that gets another billing code.
Mm-hmm.
You have an extra set of eyes to say if there's an issue with the coding coming back, to go to the provider and make those corrections within your medical record.
Exactly.
And so that's another thing. I think there's a doctor right now who just got indicted for he was amending medical records. The allegation he was amending medical records so that applicants for organ donation would not receive or transplant would not receive the transplant because the records had to say certain things, and if he was going in allegedly going in and making modifications, and he got indicted for that.
He's here in Houston, yeah.
Yeah.
Was here in Houston?
Right here in Houston.
Pretty big. Yeah, I mean, and they shut down the entire
Okay.
transplant for that hospital and stuff. So
Oh
yeah, I
my
mean,
God.
medical records are key.
Yeah, they're kind of the whole kit and caboodle in the psychology of the adjuster. The other thing is the adjusters are going to look at are the rates that are being charged in the records, is that reasonable? Because they all want to look at like the Medicare federal rates,
Yeah, that is a good question.
which is ridiculous. But they look at that stuff, and I
It has
feel
to
like
be
that has to
reasonable.
be
It has to
right.
be
Yeah.
reasonable. You can go too high, you can go too low,
Right.
something in the middle.
Yeah.
So we make
Yeah.
sure that we are on the same track and there is no like super high prices when there's no need to be that, or super low when actually has to be a little more because it's work invested on that
Right.
patient.
Because I think in the mind of an adjuster, if you're seeing records and they have ridiculous amounts of charges on there, you're questioning everything else in the record. And you're probably telling the defense lawyer who's assigned to the file, go depose this doctor, go depose that doctor, because I want to know why it is they're charging 15 times the federal rate for an x-ray or a scan or whatever, what have you. And there are all kinds of ways, like when you're in deposition, and I've had that done to one of my experts before. When you're in deposition, you're getting all those questions. Why are you charging this much? Why are you charging that much? The provider has a reason. They know why they're charging XYZ. And the real question is, and what gets the adjusters every time is you start asking, well, what are your business expenses? Where's the provider renting their space from? If you're in down by Memorial Hermann somewhere by a major hospital system,
the rent's gonna be higher, so of course you have to increase the prices. If you are going to a different area like South Houston, maybe it's not that expensive, so you can charge less.
That's right.
So all that helps or affects
Right.
the bills and records, yeah.
And
The coding.
but that's what I like about medical management is that there's a person who needs, when they have the legal questions, talk to the lawyer. When you have like a medical question about your body, talk to your doctor. But if you need to know where am I supposed to go for the next 2 or 3 weeks and how am I going to get there, you have another agent or friend to help you do that.
Yes, we are like another set of eyes for the attorney's offices. We are like another paralegal, another case manager because we help them to see how's going on with the client and the medical treatment. So it is really, I mean, it may sound bad, but it's good to help me because I'm gonna make your life easier, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've seen it in real life. I mean, we all have done it. So.
Thank you.
So yeah, okay, so we're approaching the end of the podcast. So we've started a new thing. You're going to be our first guest who gets to go
Guinea
through this
pig.
rapid
Oh.
fire questions. So we made the name. We're judging you because we are judging.
Okay.
So this is judge this quick takes. Rapid fire. We'll just ask you some questions. And yeah, we'll see how you do. Yeah, not a test.
I didn't read the last part. So,
We are going to be judging.
so it's actually new for me.
Okay, so first question. Waiting weeks to get checked out after an accident, smart or risky?
Risky.
Posting accident photos on social media as the person in the accident.
It can be helpful
Okay.
because it's proof that you were injured. So,
Okay.
yeah.
But talking about the case and stuff on social media,
No.
Okay.
Risky.
Risky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Taking the first offer on the table from the insurance company.
Definitely no. No. Risky. No.
Skipping physical therapy, chiro appointments, all the.
Super risky. Don't do it.
Okay. And then okay, so okay, you said you're from Monterrey.
Yes.
My favorite taco place is the Monterrey style. Give us your best recommendation. What? Before I sway you, best taco place, your recommendation in Houston.
Taco steak.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Taco steak, that's the word to go for. Good tacos, Monterrey style. It's in South Houston and it's pretty good. I really recommend it.
Okay, you can never go wrong in a taco
Nope.
station. So, okay. So I'm going to turn it back to George to end it. But thank you so much, Gloria, for
We're still judging
Okay.
you, America. We're
Thank
still
you.
judging you, Houston. And please come and visit you can visit our website. You can visit social media. Do you have a website? What's your website?
SwiftCarePI.com.
Okay. And your social media handle.
SwiftCarePI
on Instagram.
Boom.
Yeah.
on Instagram
There you
and on
go.
Facebook and everywhere is SwiftCarePI. Follow us.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
Thank
It's
you, guys.
Smart Matter, and it's our mission. Missed it. That's
Missed
okay.
it, okay.
All right.